Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things could get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back my good friend Diane Salinger, who you all know as Simone in the beloved 1985 classic Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I'm having her back on today because this Friday she will be conducting a Q&A at a screening for the movie at the New Art Theater in Santa Monica. The movie's turning 35 pretty soon because it's going to be 2020 this week. I'm having her on to talk about to promote the screening and talk about the legacy a little bit about the movie. Also, I'd like to say happy birthday to my friend Kelly Maroney, my favorite actress in the world and the most awesome badass cheerleader there is. I'm yet to have her on the podcast, but I did interview her at Silver Scream Fest in Santa Rosa in 2018. Go and check it out on YouTube. Also, happy birthday to Michael Nesmith and the late great Davy Jones. 2 monkeys for the price of 1. Happy birthdays on December 30th. So, here is my new interview with Diane Salinger.
Tommy, it's great to be back on your podcast, and it's so lovely you asked me right now because this coming Friday on January 3rd at midnight, we are having a special showing of Pee-wee's Big Adventure at the New Art, and I'm going to be signing autographs before in the lobby starting at 11, and then I'll be on stage with a great guy named Armando, and he's going to be asking me questions about Pee-wee's Big Adventure at midnight right before the screening. And this is such a great opportunity because it is now, come January 2020, it's the 31st anniversary of the opening of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and this movie just it never stops. People love this movie so much; it really is a cult classic. And you were asking me briefly. You were saying that did I know that this was going to be a cult classic? And I can say to you, when I read the script, I didn't know that. But when I came to visit the set one day at Warner Brothers when I was not working, and I had already shot a couple of scenes, and it was a scene with Paul and Judd Omen as they're falling in the car in the woods. Right. And what breaks the fall is the canopy, the rooftop of the convertible opens up and it acts like a parachute, and they slowly parachute down. And I watched them shooting this, and I went up to Paul and Tim Burton, and I said, "Listen, guys, I have to tell you, I'm psychic, and I think this is going to be a huge hit, much bigger than any of us can conceive." So I was aware of this before the movie ever came out when we were in the middle of shooting, when it was a scene I was not in, and I could just objectively watch it, and I knew this was going to be a huge, more than a hit. I knew this was going to be a classic, and I told them right then and there. So that's to answer your question.
Wow.
Yes, I knew, Tommy.
Yeah, Terry Bolo told me that she was originally written to play Simone, but then they didn't think she was right for it, and she ended up playing one of the bikers. How did you get to audition for it? It's really a strange thing. It's fated, actually, I think. I went in to see a wonderful casting director who was in film. No, she was actually casting television at the time. And I went in on auditions for her, and she said, "Diane, you're not really television. You're much more film. You're features." And she put my headshot and resume on a casting director's desk, and her name is Wally Nocita. And she was casting this strange movie called Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And that's how I got to audition for this. It was really through Mindy Marin passing on my headshot and resume to Wally Nocita. And I got called in
and I had no time to prepare for it. I went into the bathroom, and in the stall, I made some choices, and it was the scene in the dinosaur, you know, do you have any dreams, that scene. And I made some choices, and I decided that if I just talked in my regular voice with my regular dialect that I was born with, I sound too kind of upper crust and East Coast. And I thought, I'm never going to get this part of a truck stop waitress if I sound like myself.
Right.
So I just quickly made the decision in the bathroom, okay, I'll be Southern. Not that all Southerners are, you know, kind of working class, but I thought I can hide my accent best if I'm Southern. So I just whipped out my Southern accent and made some strong choices, and then I auditioned for Wall-E, and then that afternoon I had to come back and meet Tim Burton and Paul Rubens. And I was much more sort of sexual in the audition when I was with Paul and I was biting his fingers. and of course, that never made it into the we didn't go in that direction. Although I was told much later by, I think, Phil Hartman, God love him. Phil Hartman told me that they had decided that Simone would be Paul's sort of sexual adventure, you know, as much as Pee-wee had one.
Yeah.
And it would not be Dottie. Dottie would have a crush on him, but that it would be Simone that would be like his sexual escapade.
Yeah.
Or an 8-year-old. And so, but I never did get to bite Paul's fingers or really come on to him. It was much more innocent than that.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So were you there every day on set, even on your days off?
No, but somehow it was a much easier, simpler, non-terrorist time, and I could just get on the set whenever I wanted to. Very different time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just came on the set one day to watch the shooting. I didn't even know what they were shooting, and it was, you know, as I said, Judd Oman, the criminal, and Paul in the convertible falling, free fall, in the forest. And I saw them shooting this, and I thought, this is going to be extraordinary. I had truly no idea whatsoever. And in fact, I was even having reservations about auditioning, or I had gotten the role, and then they gave me the script, and I read the scene in the beginning with Paul and the dog, and the dog licks its butt and then licks Paul's mouth. And I thought, oh my God, do I really want to do this? You know, and I thought, you know, they come from Shakespeare. Although Shakespeare could be really bawdy and wild, I just never saw myself, you know, in a show that had a dog licking its ass and then licking the star's mouth. But thankfully some good sense prevailed, and they took that out before we never shot that.
Oh.
But I was having reservations about doing it, but I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I agreed to do it, because I've turned down several movies that were huge successes, but usually it was too violent or something else was going on, and I thought, you know, this isn't representing women well, or it's too violent, or, you know, and so but at this, I'm so happy I did it. It was one of the smartest moves I've ever made.
Yeah, I don't think you would like any of my screenplays, Diane. I got all that stuff in mind, but it comes from a place of making a point. You know what I mean? It's not in there to be gratuitous and all that stuff.
Well, then I wouldn't mind it if it's not gratuitous. But if it's gratuitous, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious about your screenplay. I would be, Tommy, because I think you're a really great person, and you're fun, and you've got this kind of innocence about you that is very sweet.
Yes.
Although maybe it's different in your screenplays, but
yes.
you yourself, when I got to meet you and your mom, I thought you both were lovely.
Oh, yes, that was a lot of fun. Yes, I definitely put my dark side into my art. Definitely.
Well, that's good, because I would tell my students when I would be teaching and coaching, I still coach, but I don't have classes anymore, and I would tell all my students, turn your swamp into gold.
Mm-hmm.
Turn your swamp into gold. Anything that's caused you pain or anger or anything like this, just turn it in, put it into your art and turn it into gold. And I don't mean money. I mean turning your art into gold, meaning turning your swamp into gold, meaning create something of value that's going to help other people and inspire them.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's very beautiful. I can imagine the energy on the set was infectious, though, because the movie turned out so well.
Yes, but we had some. I mean, one day I remember, now that I'm thinking about it, it was the scene where Paul is riding the Bronco Buster.
Yes.
And this poor guy that was playing Paul riding this wild horse. Oh my God! This boy got kicked off the horse, or reared off the horse, and he fainted.
Oh.
When he fell, he fainted, and they had to carry him off the stretcher.
Oh my
that
God.
was not supposed to be, but I think maybe Paul does get, carried off on the stretcher, but the guy who was really playing his extra, his stunt double, really did faint.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little bleak for a couple minutes. We didn't know, if he was going to jump up and pop out of it, or had to be carried off because he fainted. It was wow, one of those moments that you go, oh my God, something can really go wrong on a set. And we all know that it can sometimes.
Yeah, especially when you have horses or some kind of wildlife on the set. I've heard lots of stories about people getting injured. They're doing Western movies. They're getting bucked off a ladder or something. It's dangerous.
Right.
Now, was all the Texas stuff shot in California?
Everything that I did was shot in California, and I think the entire movie was shot in California. Except maybe the Alamo. Maybe they used another mission. I'm not sure about that. And wonderful Jan Hook, God love her.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, we've had several people croak, and I'm sure they're still around, but in another existence. But Jan Hooks, and then the woman who played Large Marge, and then the guy Andy who played my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Those were some of the ones who've passed, and I think there are others as well. It's really shocking to me.
Yeah.
But it's been 35 years. And they are dearly remembered in our movie. Just dearly remembered.
And here's something I'm sure you didn't know. One of the BMX kids in the bike shop, he ended up on America's Most Wanted about 15 years ago.
No!
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I saw it the night it aired. I was shocked. I think he shot somebody in his family, and then he was a fugitive.
Oh my goodness! One of the kids who was a biker, or is it one of the Hells Angels people?
No, one of the BMX bike kids. Yeah, he was probably like 15 in the movie, and he was probably like 35 when he did this. I was shocked when I found out.
Holy smokes! That's outrageous.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Judd Omen, when I saw him, Paul Rubens invited all of the main characters from Pee-wee to his the Pee-wee Herman show that was at the Nokia.
Yeah.
Before they took it on Broadway, and I think it's called Pee-wee's Playhouse. Judd told me that he's producing now, which is wonderful. And then I tried to track him down, and he spends a lot of time in Eastern Europe, like in Romania, I think, making movies. He's a filmmaker.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter, and
So not all of us have gone to the dogs.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter, and I'm a little reluctant to reach out to him because he had a headline for a while. It's not there anymore, but he had a headline saying that he didn't like it when people asked him about Paul. He said that they had a huge falling out or something.
Well, it didn't seem he didn't seem to have a falling out at the point where Paul invited all of us to the Pee-wee show at the Nokia. Everybody seemed very happy and relaxed, and having a great time. So it must have been earlier.
Must have been earlier, right after,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. Did you create a backstory for Simone in your mind when you read it? Because actors do that, you know.
Well, you know, I do often do that, but with Simone, really, I don't like to talk about my inner work, but it was something that had happened to me several years before I played her, and I was up in Oregon, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, Oregon, and I used that. There was a real huge wish that I wanted, and I used that. Really, that was really all I used. I think for every scene, I just would look and see this one image that I had from my days in the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, and it was looking out at this beautiful, beautiful mountainscape. And I don't want to talk about that any more than because I don't ever give away my secrets. But that it was, and now it's still, you know, like 35, 36 years later, because we made it the year before, it just opens my heart and makes me almost cry. This one image that I saw one day in Ashland. And I made a decision then and there about this inspiring landscape, that it was something that I wanted to do, that had to do with being akin to that landscape. So that's all I'm going to say. But I used it, I think, in every scene. Right before I begin, I would think of that. And that was sort of my through line for the character.
Because the way I see it, to me, she's, you know, a victim of domestic abuse, and she's a
how funny!
And she's a dreamer, you know.
Yes, very much a dreamer. And friends, you know, dear old friends have seen it. A girlfriend of mine, Linda Graham in Philadelphia, who I've known since I was 11, and she was 12. She said when she saw it, she calls me Salinger. I call her Graham, just like we did in you know, 7th grade. And she said, Salinger, you weren't acting; you were just playing yourself. And I am a big dreamer. I am a big dreamer.
Yeah, I can see that.
I hope I never lose that, and I hope everybody dreams big, because you can, if you follow your dreams, or as Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss, and the environment will support you. Just follow your dream, follow your bliss.
I think everybody always holds on to that. I think everyone does.
Yeah.
When you worked with...
You know, I think that's one of the reasons why Pee-wee's Big Adventure is so popular and loved, and I think it's Tim Burton's. I may be prejudiced, but I think it's Tim Burton's best movie. It's weird, because I was talking to Danny Elfman when he had done the score for a totally different movie, and I went up to him afterwards. He was doing Q&A, and we hugged each other, and I said, you know, I have to say, I think Pee-wee's Big Adventure is Tim's best movie, and he said yes, he thought so too. I don't know if he'd want me to say this on the air, but I really feel that.
I definitely think it's in his top 3.
Yeah. What are your other two that you think?
Well, let's see. I'm a big Edward Scissorhands fan. I think that's his most personal project, and there's just so much layers of beauty in that story.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that Johnny Depp really connected with that character.
Yes, and the other one would be Ed Wood. I talked to Vincent Price's daughter, and I told her, you know that story of Bela Lugosi's relationship with Ed Wood is based on, Tim Burton's relationship with your father. She had no idea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so to me, those 3 are the best.
Shedding some light for her. Yes, I think you're probably right. I mean, Tim arranged for a special screening for me and E.G. Daly, who plays Dottie, see his very first movie, which was Frankie and Weenie. But I don't think that really ever had, like, a full release. movie, and it's two dogs, and it's a Frankenstein story.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie and Weenie.
Frankie, I saw it.
Daly and I were the only two in the audience watching this in this little screening room at Warner Brothers. But Pee-wee's Big Adventure was really his first movie.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It had a wide release. Yeah.
Because he did that Vincent short cartoon, he did Frankenweenie, and he did an episode of Fairy Tale Theater, which was Shelley Duvall's little fairy tale show on Showtime. He directed Aladdin before it was a Disney cartoon.
Wow, you know a lot more than I do about this. Oh,
yeah,
fascinating.
Yeah, so he's brilliant. But when you worked with him on this movie and then again on Batman Returns, did you see any difference in his work ethic as a director or any kind of maturity?
Well, he was very relaxed, it seemed to me, on Batman Returns. And, he took me around the first day on Batman Returns, and he showed me his sketches. And he doesn't do storyboards the way most directors do. He does these paintings. And he showed me one of Catwoman, brilliantly played by Michelle Pfeiffer, after she's fallen out of the window, and all these cats are licking at her, and she's unconscious on the pavement, and these cats are licking at her, and they bring her back to life. They revive her.
Right.
And he showed me this incredible drawing painting of this. And that's the one that I remember the most. But he showed me several paintings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, it was so interesting because in Batman Returns, we were shooting like a half a page a day, which is not very much. And Pee-wee, I think we were shooting a lot more than that each day. But Tim, came to my house when I was up in the Hollywood Hills, and he came before we started shooting so that he wanted to test out like certain accents, and I showed him like 3 accents that I could do, because I can do any accent if you give me a day, any accent in the world. And it's just easy for me. And I showed him the different accents. I had tapes of them, and I said, pick one. So he picked one that was the least Southern so that everybody could understand it.
Yeah, I mean, when I hear Simone, I hear a little bit of Southern, and I also hear, I actually think she sounds French to me.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so sweet. Oh,
yeah.
That's great.
Did you?
Oh, that's great, Tommy.
Yeah. Did you go to the original premiere for the movie?
Of course. Of course. Oh, my gosh. It was at the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Right.
And we were all dressed kind of in 50s outfits, I think. I don't remember what I wore, but it was all kind of 50s and fun. And then they had the after party on the rooftop of one of the hotels that was on Highland. And it was incredible. And I met Angeline there. It was really fun. That's what my memory of. I don't think it was Pee-wee's Big Top that we celebrated on the rooftop, although maybe that was true too. But I think it was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. We went up there for the first one, our first movie of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, on the rooftop of the hotel that was just a couple blocks away. It was really, really sweet.
Yeah, MTV covered the premiere, and everyone from Prince to Rodney Dangerfield was there. I mean, it was just, it was a huge event, and that's the night that he got the green light for Pee-wee's Playhouse on CBS.
Oh, my goodness, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
It was.
Well, that certainly had a huge effect on a lot of children in a good way.
Of course, even me. Now, this guy, Armando, who's going to be hosting the screening with you on Friday, is he a film historian?
Well, he certainly knows a great deal about film, let me tell you. And he's a novelist himself, and he does a lot of horror books. And he's read me quotes from some of them, and they're really humorous and funny. And he knows a great deal about film and cult films, and he absolutely loves Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So I'm so excited. I have no idea what kind of questions he's going to ask me at midnight on Friday, this coming Friday, January 3rd. And as I said, I will be signing autographs in the lobby starting at 11. And I'm very excited about this. And I have several pictures that I'm going to be bringing from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So I'm thrilled. And I even have posters I can sign of. These are miniature posters of Paul on his Pee-wee Herman on his bike. Mm-hmm. So you can get one of those too. So I'll be signing those. I'm really excited about it. I just love this movie. It's my favorite movie I've ever been in. And God, I've done at least 75, 76 movies and TV shows. That's not counting the series I've been in, because they only count it as one when you've done, like 15 episodes, and they count that as one. It's very silly. But I have to say, anything I've ever done, I've loved Pee-wee's Big Adventure the most. And so I'm so happy to be asked to be at the New Art to introduce the movie. And then I will be also at the World Turn when Paul is honored for Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I got to meet him last year at Monsterpalooza when I met you that weekend. And
right.
He oh my God, he had these really silly looking 8x10s at his table. He had these really silly, really kind of ugly mock-ups of the Pee-wee's Big Adventure poster,
Oh God, how funny!
The only thing that I saw that I liked that I wanted to get was him sitting on Jerry on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So I got that 8x10, and
that's great. That's great.
He's such a sweet man.
I'm going to be bringing everything I have about Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and I may even bring some Batman Return pictures too, because I have at least two great ones of Batman Returns, both of them with Paul. So I love that Tim put us back together in Batman Returns. That was really wonderful.
Yeah, it shocked me when I was a kid.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to see Pee-wee and Simone in there.
Oh, God. Did you know it was us?
Oh, yeah, I could tell.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though Paul had a mustache and weird hair, and I have this updo, and I was wearing Julia Roberts' wig from some other movie.
Oh, really?
I didn't think we looked anything like we did in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but Paul made me laugh right before we shot the opening scene of Batman Returns. He always could crack me up.
Yeah. Well, it was not too long after, his scandal broke out, so that gave him away with that beard.
Oh, yes, that's true. But it wasn't a beard. I think it was just a mustache in Batman Returns. But, I think Tim really wanted to get Paul out of the doldrums, and I think he just thought, let's get, Paul and Diane back together for this, because the scandal had just happened. Mm-hmm. So it was really a very sweet and wonderful thing Tim did.
Yeah. And then he went right into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which he did a good job in that one.
Yeah.
That was a good bad guy role that he played in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I see...
Paul is a brilliant actor. He can do, he's done so many different roles. But I think, he will go to his grave as Pee-wee primarily. He will.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think he's complaining about it anymore,
No, I don't think so either. I don't either. Well, listen, I have to run. So do you have anything else to ask me?
Oh, yes, I see that you're going to be signing at the Hollywood show in February, which I'm so happy about.
Yes, I can't wait to sign in the Hollywood show. What's the date on that? I don't have it. It's in February, I know.
I think it's February 8th and 9th, I believe.
Well, I'm going to be there, and I have a big surprise for fans when I come there. I'm going to have a big surprise for you guys at the New Art, but I'm not going to say what it is. And then I have another big surprise at the Hollywood show that's going to shock people.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad, Diane, that you got that going on, and I hope you have many, many more this year, many more signings to do.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. It's always, as the first time, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, dear. Both times.
Oh,
You're very adorable, honey.
I try.
Yes, you're great, honey. Oh, Tommy. Well, I send my love to you, and just a big hello to everybody out there. And we have to keep the world light and fun in the midst of some of the stuff that's going on now. And the lighter we can become, the better, because it affects the collective unconscious and get everybody to laugh and to love life.
I agree. Diane, you have fun this Friday and fun at the Hollywood show. And I'll talk to you again at some point. And of course,
Right,
you and my mom talk every night.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see you all at the New Art this Friday, January 3rd. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, dear. Bye.
Well, there you have it. Diane Salinger. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Diane. I love talking to you, and I'm so glad that you're keeping the legacy of Pee-wee's Big Adventure alive. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.